Bingo.
Hello everyone and welcome to an explanation prior to a Let's Roleplay of Star Wars, title pending. This is actually the continuation of a game that we played, we as in me, DeFrog and Morath and Moonstruck Ragamuffin and a few other people back in college many years ago.
Fun fact, this is actually how Duhad and I
The year
met.
was 1963.
God, yeah. No, but this is how me and DeFrog and Morath and Ragamuffin all met. Actually, funny enough. Point just being that it's been this is an old game. And back in the day, we called it Star Wars D6 after the system it was using, and obviously that's not really a good name, so we'll be giving it a new title. But in addition to a new title, to get this series into a place where you, the viewer, will be able to appreciate it, we kind of feel like there's enough backstory to it that it might be worth going over, at least in brief. So that's what we're going to do today, just kind of quickly run over some of the basics of what Star Wars D6 or Star Wars title pending is all about, and what the game is and why you should be excited for it. I will kick it now over to our GM. First time GMing on the channel, certainly not first time GMing in. Oh no, it isn't even your first time GMing on the channel. Damn it! You did that one Halloween game a really long time ago.
With the same system, no less.
Yeah.
Hey, okay, so I think like the obvious potential title for this is Jedi Academy. Just given everything.
I think that's already used by the books, isn't it?
Yes, technically speaking, it's used by the books, the games, yada 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 yada. We'll figure it out, but yeah. So the game is set in Star Wars Legends, which is to say Star Wars expanded universe before Disney bought them. And the general idea is that after the original trilogy, there was still some fighting between the rebels who become what is known as the New Republic and the Empire for quite some time. But eventually, and I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here.
Trust me, you don't need to go over it.
Yes, good God. Tried that before. It was terrible.
Yeah, this is the second attempt at this. The previous attempt being that 2-hour monstrosity that didn't even get halfway through the campaign.
Yeah, why didn't you burn that?
That's funny.
Anyway, so the general upshot is that Luke Skywalker at one point goes ahead and establishes a Jedi Academy on the moon of Yavin, where the Rebel base was in the original Star Wars, New Hope. And there are some teething troubles initially, but eventually there is a book of young adult novels that follows Han and Leia's kids as they train at the Jedi Academy along with some of their friends, and they have their adventures. Now, the other thing is that Luke Skywalker, at the time that these books were written, did not have a definitive love interest. But they eventually did decide to have one, and she therefore does not appear in these novels. Eventually they gave a canon reason for her not being there, but the initial conception behind this game was, let's follow the group of Jedi Academy students who are being taught by Mara Jade.
That being the love interest.
Yes, Luke's wife at this point, actually. So Mara Jade Skywalker. She, okay, so long story short on her, she was actually a force-wielding covert operations person under the direct control of the Emperor. She eventually broke away from that, fell in love with Luke. The two of them got married, so on and so forth. She's a different character in her teaching style than, say, Luke would be.
Are you saying that she's a different character than you had before?
She's the key to everything, really.
Oh, if she works,
it's like
everything else works.
Yeah. Continuing though.
Oh God, that would be terrible as soon as you learn about the young one.
Oh, no.
Well, no, this gets worse when you consider that at one point there was a Gungan Jedi student.
Oh no! Yeah.
They have faded into the past. Anyway, so the game was run once before with another group. It was actually the first game that I ever ran, and then I brought it back for the college group, going ahead and giving it another shot and seeing what happened, and it was relatively successful, I would say.
Nodding.
Duhad has been asking me to restart this on and off over the years.
Nodding.
Anyway, so, plotline. So, we initially go ahead and meet our characters, of which the two most important that initially show up are going to be Wash and Keeg and A Cool Dawn. Both of whom...
myself and Morath, respectively.
Yes. The two of them were not the only ones on that initial flight, but they're the two that are actually around at this point. Anyway, so for the first...
Oh, sorry.
There were others. They've got their own plot importance and such, but let's focus on them for now. The two of them, along with their comrades, met Mara Jade, started learning her slightly more intense way of teaching, and eventually were sent out on their first mission. For at this time in the universe, there was a second Force User Academy around called the Shadow Academy.
Ooh.
Remember, these are based on young adult novels.
So
anyway.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, the entire Shadow Academy was made up of edgy.
I want to go to school. Oh, yeah, how good are you?
I'm pretty morally neutral. To the Shadow Academy.
To the evil one, where you will become an evil monster that kills babies. What?
Yeah. Well, it's not quite like the Harry Potter thing where they put you into the villain house.
Why would you call an academy the Shadow Academy when it has so much fucking evil connotation to it?
Because it's made.
Well, because there were dark side users.
Yeah, it's all run by card-carrying villains.
Yeah, but again, Star Wars is very.
Oh, it is. It's extremely stupid and silly. That's fine.
Again, young adult novels.
So anyway, point is, there's the evil academy and the good academy and we had to go and deal with the evil academy.
Yeah, the evil academy is actually, going ahead and spearheading something called the Second Imperium, Second Rise of the Empire. Nothing to do with the Imperial Remnant, which had actually made a peace treaty with the New Republic at this point.
Unless you're Star Wars Episode 8.
We don't talk about that here. Yes, for the record, folks, anything that is in the new Disney Star Wars films is just straight not going to be in these films.
Yeah, which you should quickly just establish is not because we necessarily hate the new movies, just that this game was started years and years and years before the new movies were even announced, and we're not going to go and retcon the entire story and history just because there's now new movies.
Just so you know,
no porgs crackling over the fire.
We love porgs.
They are delicious.
So the Shadow Academy stuff is going on. We had to go to the planet of Dathomir, which has its own plot significance in other books that isn't really relevant to what we're talking about here. Basically, all you need to know about it is a planet where a matriarchy of female Force sensitives who are not Jedi, ride around on Rancors, which are the big monsters from Return of the
Jabba's
Jedi.
Palace.
Yeah, Return of the Jedi and Jabba's Palace.
The reason we
so
go ahead...
fan-fictioning.
Yes, it is.
Boy,
just fucking roll with it. Just fucking roll.
Yes. This is Star Wars, you just gotta deal. Anyway, at that point, they met a character by the name of Rosa, Rosa Linry, who's played by Moonstruck Ragamuffin, who was a rare male Force sensitive on this planet, who was actually trying to go ahead and join the Shadow Academy to get out of the restrictive tenets of his society. Our heroes ran into him, convinced him that that was a really bad idea, and then blew up the recruiting camp by giving a rocket launcher to a blind man.
Yeah, he's blind, and we gave him at various points rocket launcher, sniper rifle, controls to a starship plummeting in through the atmosphere and down towards a planet. Various things that probably should never go to a blind person. Let's be honest.
Amusingly enough, it actually worked out.
All cases, yeah.
We're being a little facetious here. He sees through the Force. Anyway, after that, they went ahead.
So you're talking about like the guy from the from Rogue One?
No, like actually does, not a question of maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Legitimate, established, dude has the Force Byakugan.
I can't believe you're stealing from a movie that didn't come out at this time.
Stealing from the future, goddamn time travelers.
Donnie Yen, I love you, but bitch, you stole the character concept from us.
How dare you?
We convinced Rosa. We stopped the Shadow Academy's plans there. We went back home. We discovered secret mysteries involving a spooky temple.
That seems to fade in and out of the jungle. Yes, there is actually a plot line dealing with that thing. No, you haven't gotten through all of it. There have been a number of times that the player characters have gotten to explore this place.
It was very spooky.
Yes, not going to go into it any more than that.
Yeah.
Following that, they went ahead and went to the planet of Thyfera, which is the source of the miracle medicine Bacta, and also Akul's family's pretty much home planet. They work in the Bacta trade. Long story short, they went ahead and witnessed Akul's father's death in person. They went down to the planet and got involved in a rip-roaring fight that ended up with them getting banned from Thyfera permanently. Especially since one of the party members, not named, went dark side and toasted someone with Force lightning.
Yeah. And that thus began the party's surprisingly long run of having to eject members out of life pods after they had turned to the dark side.
It's a humane solution. Anyway, the party then went ahead and actually built their lightsabers, and fought off the Shadow Academy when it finally came to confront the Jedi Academy. They went up into space and confronted a royal guard who turned out to be, a number of royal guards, who turned out to be behind the Second Imperium as a whole and were faking Emperor Palpatine still being alive. They also had a fight with a zero-G space trooper that very nearly killed them all.
That also tends to happen a lot in this game.
Yeah, combat comes to the edge.
For a thrill.
Anyway, after that there was a bit of downtime, and our group of heroes eventually went out to track down a group of slavers working in Force-connected locations that appeared to be modifying people with cybernetics.
Yep.
There was fighting on Wookiee homeworld.
People. You don't have to refer to paraplegics like that.
No, nothing so nice. Nothing so nice. But yeah, after a little bit of that, they went and answered a distress call from some of their friends and got caught up in a political issue where a group called the Diversity Alliance, being an alien pride and alien power group, is essentially rebelling against the New Republic, saying that they're humanocentric and not going ahead and being equal with the galaxy. This actually brings us to our current time, as our group just recently made it off of a planet where the Diversity Alliance was actually in open warfare with the natives of the planet. The Diversity Alliance alleges that the members of this planet had been slavers in the past, and they were trying to liberate the planet. The people of the planet allege that, hey, this is our planet, screw you. In any case, they crash-landed on the planet, eventually got off, and in the course of all of this, another one of the members of the party, Akul this time, was shoved into an escape pod and jettisoned as the party believed that he had fallen to the dark side.
That's because of all those evil things he was doing and the people he killed.
Yeah, I glossed over some of this, but they also created a revolutionary new hyperdrive that requires Force sensitives to be around, and when they tested it, they had left Akul behind. Akul was very displeased with them and assaulted Washin.
With a piece of metal.
For fun.
Not that that's like carried over to any other games that have been mentioned before.
Anyway, at this point, the party has gone ahead and met up with another character, an NPC, who is somewhat pivotal to this. So at this point, unless there are any questions, I'll probably be getting down to the state of the galaxy as it lands now for the sake of our players.
This is where we turn to Winter and Belial, who have been sitting in and listening, who basically know nothing about either Star Wars or the D6 game for the most part. For
being a loud nuisance.
Yeah, shush you. Just to figure out whether or not there's anything that you guys are like, hey, that doesn't make any fucking sense, and I feel like it requires clarification.
I would say that one thing doesn't make any sense, but that's Star Wars in general. So
suck it up, sister, and move on.
Yeah, there's no actual you can't complain about anything, really.
Fair enough. Winter, anything that you feel desperately needs clarification as our audience surrogate?
They all seem to flow pretty well.
Okay, well, if the audience members, if you don't find anything that...
Post your questions in the comments below.
We'll move on to them. Yeah. But if you have any questions and you feel like the right questions weren't answered, just reassure yourselves. Winter said everything tracked, so you're stupid. Winter is right.
Winter said it was stupid.
Aww.
Okay, so let's get to the state of the galaxy, and maybe if we have a little bit of time, we can quickly brush over in more detail each of the three characters who will probably be returning.
Yes. Okay, so the way that the galaxy stands right now in relation to the Diversity Alliance crisis, I guess is probably the best way of putting it, is the Diversity Alliance is based out of Ryloth, which is the Twi'lek homeworld. They are a somewhat radical group that is pushing for more alien rights, pushing back against the humans, essentially.
Are they? I don't want to get political.
Don't make any obvious political analogies. They're already obvious enough.
I was gonna do a historical one, but whatever, it's fine.
There's chances are, if you just think about it for a bit, you can probably think of a racially based political movement.
Yeah, like the one from Ruby.
Oh, yeah, sure. Like the one from Ruby.
Lordy. Anyway, point is that while they have a good message, there is definitely some radicalism here. The other big thing is that the leader of the Diversity Alliance, Nola Tarkona, has gone ahead and put out the galaxy's largest bounty on a man named Bornan Thal. He is the patriarch of the Thal clan of, well, no longer of Alderaan, but they were rich Alderanis who had a trading fleet, which is, at this moment, one of the more powerful independent trading cartels in the galaxy. The Borni fleet, the Thal fleet, is trying to go ahead and find Bornan Thal as well. It is a bounty for bringing him in alive, specifically. It's not much of a guess that she's got some ulterior motive for wanting to find this guy.
Woohoo.
One of the canon characters that the NPC that I referred to, his name is Raynarthal. He is a rather poor Jedi Academy student, and he is the son of Born in Thal. He is out looking for the Thals, for Born in Thal, along with Zek, who is a former member of the Shadow Academy turned bounty hunter. Also friend of the Solo Kids. April's character does not much like Zek.
Because he's an edgy little prick. Anyway, continuing though.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that he wants your love interest.
What? Continuing though.
That's weird.
Yeah. That's the general thing at the moment. Born in Thal, there's been a number of sightings of him, and there have been some rumors of... Well, actually, you haven't heard this yet, but there have been some rumors floating around of planets that have been hit by a terrible, terrible plague with no survivors.
Oh.
Now, Belial, I know that we discussed a while ago that you were planning to play a character who was in the employ of the Borny fleet trying to track down Mr. Thal. Is that still your intention?
Yes, because I don't know shit about the setting.
Wait, hold on a second. Belial, you're playing a Borny?
What?
You're playing a... You're
playing from the... Yeah, well, I'm playing the female Jason Bourne from the Bourne trilogy, right?
Okay. No, I'm just saying, like, I think it's kind of fun. You're playing a Borny, you know? It's fitting. You know, big Borny.
Born again Brony?
What?
It sounds like Brony, because...
Oh! I was so confused as to what you said.
Just let me have
like,
it.
what the
Just
fuck does that have
this.
to do with anything?
Whatever. Look, whatever. Continuing.
For those of you who are fans of ponies, there is in fact a race in Star Wars that is essentially a humanoid horse.
They're
I don't believe any of the party
ugly.
is playing one.
You can tattoo their ass if you want, if you're playing them.
They also all have multiple personality disorder.
Hey, they're like that one species of vampires in Masquerade, except
Malkavians.
I don't know which one is the worst one.
It's probably good that we only ever really got the one example of the character, and it was written by an author who knew how to do comedy.
Oh, thank God.
Mental illness is comedy. The best. Anyway, continuing. Continuing.
Yes, continuing. That actually pretty much wraps up the high concept of the state of the galaxy at the moment. Winter, I don't believe that we've discussed exactly who you're going to be playing at the moment.
He's playing Darth Vader.
Fuck you. I'm playing
What?
I'm playing a Star Mapper.
Okay, we'll need to figure out a way that, brings you in such that you will, actually stick with the party.
Yeah, but we can talk about that at a later time.
Yep.
Fair enough. So,
April, you said you wanted to get into the 3 characters that are likely to actually return?
I feel like it would be good to just at least brush over them, kind of go over the high concepts of each of them rather than necessarily getting to the nitty-gritty, since a lot of that stuff can be done in character.
Okay. Well, since you're playing the one that absolutely will be returning,
right?
Why don't you start?
So my returning character is Washin Keeg. He is basically he's an in-universe fan of the characters from the first movie, who in this universe are obviously like important historical figures. And his life has sort of been defined by tragedy and horrible, stupid things happening. to the point where he has a very neurotic and fearful personality, and kind of believes that just about everything is going to go wrong horribly and miserably, and it's all going to be terrible, but it's fine. It's fine. It's always fine. Making up for this particularly unheroic quality, he is a very, very genuinely decent person, and someone who is a strong believer in the Force as kind of a pseudo-religious, like the Jedi as a pseudo-religious institution, defining his life through the principles of the Jedi. Since going to the Academy, he's kind of gone from he's progressed over the years from being a complete joke to becoming kind of the pseudo leader-ish of the group, along with Morath's character Cool, and at the time of the game's start is the only character from that original group of close-knit friends who is still actively part of this organization, and so is kind of in a weird place at the start of the game where he's kind of the last of his friends, and is probably not feeling too great. His role in the party is that he is the pilot of the group's ship, though he is a non-combat pilot. He is not a fighter, but obviously he's a Jedi, and he has a strong relationship both with his mentor, the aforementioned Mara Jade, and with the Solo twins, who are his closest non-party related friends in the universe.
One of which he is currently in a relationship with.
Yes, and so why don't you take over for Cool, since Morath isn't here, and then we'll do...
Yes. So, as Morath is not here, Akul is a Togruta, Reed, same race as Shakti from the prequel trilogy.
Red alien... Oh yeah, Washington is Duras. Blue aliens with giant bulbous heads and giant red eyes. The Cool's race are the red aliens with the giant head tentacles and like the stripy head tentacles.
Maybe you can go ahead and bring up some pictures
I'll
for
bring
this.
Some pictures. You keep talking.
Cool. Okay, so Akul is a Togruta. His family still has some ties to the home world, but they were deeply involved with the Bacta trade. So he grew up kind of rich and happy. He came to the Jedi Academy due to the fact that his Force potential was recognized, and he wanted to go ahead and develop it. He's certainly more hot-headed, coming back to his predatory species, and just generally more fight-happy nature. His deal is tactics, and he started out as a jovial, joking character who, unfortunately, some of the realities of living the Jedi lifestyle have made bitter at times due to his loss of his father and such. He definitely does not trust in the will of the Force nearly so much as Washington does, believing that whenever he does follow it, he experiences loss. And he is often motivated by the wish to control things and keep things safe for his friends, even though it often can lead to moments where he drives his friends further away vis-a-vis the crowbar. And at the moment, he has been put into a life pod and jettisoned into space with a homing beacon for pickup. He will not be joining us initially in the game, as, the party would not be willing to work with him anyway. Or at least the Jedis of the party would not. Which brings us to our last major character, Rosa Linry, who is played by Moonstruck Ragamuffin. I'm not entirely certain that we'll be able to get him for the beginning of the game. His character is a human, Force-sensitive, and a blind man who sees through the Force, as we said earlier. He is in an arranged marriage with a member of his clan that he has recently gone ahead and come to terms with. It took him some time. Obviously, he tried to run off earlier, but he was able to mature some, come to the understanding. He is younger than the rest of the party, tends to be a little bit mischievous because of that, and that's caused troubles in the past. He also, being from what, would be considered almost a feral level of technology, sticks and stones and that sort of stuff, rather than the technology out in the universe. He's taken very well to technology, but he doesn't know what you can't do with it, which has led to him being the driver behind a number of innovations, including the hyperdrive, which I alluded to earlier, which requires Force sensitives to be around.
And for those of you watching at home, now on screen from left to right, from left to right, my character's race, Morath's character's race, and what Rosa basically looks like.
Another one of those things you kiddos might know is Ahsoka Tano from the Clone Wars series.
Oh yeah, that's
yes,
also
she is a Togruta.
Yeah, member of Graham's character's race, Morath's character's race.
Technically speaking, Moonstruck's race is
not
the Miralucans,
but
it's close enough for government work.
He looks literally exactly like one, so whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Let's see. Any other things? Is there anything else that you think that we need to go over?
I think you covered basically everything that's important. Anything else can be covered in game itself. So unless
and in the questions and the comments.
Yeah, and of course for all those of you watching at home, please leave questions in the comments. We would love to read them. Unless our
I'll actually even go ahead and answer the damn things too.
Hey. Unless our in-house questionnaires have any more questions, I think we're good. Bleel? Winter?
No, I'm all good.
Okay. In that case, hopefully we will see you guys soon for the upcoming Star Wars title pending game.
Ooh.
See you there.
Hopefully it'll be fun. See you later.